I recently found myself in a small little Instagram feud commenting and arguing with people about this handle from Personal Finance Club. Basically, if you take a look at, I'll put it up on the screen right now, there is this influencer named Jeremy who posts these infographics, for lack of a better term. They're going to have like wise little money sayings on them, and for the most part, I really agree with the message, except you can kind of see where I'm going with this one. It reads, "Why I don't like credit card points. Spending this, $1, to earn this, 2 cents is a bad idea." And then down below it cites a study that says, studies show people spend twice as much when using a credit card versus cash. Now, here on this channel, I just released an ebook, link down below in the description, all about how to get the Southwest Companion Pass, how it is possible to use credit card points and rewards to essentially travel the world for free. Now, to me, it kind of goes without saying, but I still say it in all my videos that, of course, you have to pay off your balances in full and on time whenever you're using credit cards. But I kind of think of that as an afterthought in some ways because this is a channel all about personal finance. And if you kind of look at this handle here, the Personal Finance Club, I kind of feel like this type of advice is so outdated that middle-class America is leaving not just pennies, but dollars on the table whenever they're paying for things in cash that they could be using their credit card for. So anyway, that was a bit long of an introduction. I'm going to dive into what the research actually says, so you're not going to want to miss this. Now, this is where I usually ask for you to go ahead and like this video. Please do that. I am not trying to put any sort of like hate or ill will out here. I just respectfully disagree with outdated data. So let's dive into it. The one thing I noticed about this post is that it's not just the infograph. Some people love this stuff, they heart it and move on with their day. But Jeremy, he usually writes these paragraphs, for lack of a better term, that go on to explain not only where he's coming from, but also his thoughts behind the matter. And that's where I want to dive a little bit deeper into the post here because it is citing a Forbes.com article that's titled, "Do People Really Spend More with Credit Cards?" Now, it references two different studies. So when I disagreed in the comments here, I got a lot of hate from people that essentially agree with Jeremy's point, that if you are walking around with cash, you are going to spend less. That's what the studies show. But let's hold it right there. For those of you that have gone to college, maybe you have an advanced degree like myself, a master's degree, you know that there is a limit to the type of research that you can cite and still have it be considered valid. For like literature or the arts, sometimes they let you go back like 10 years. I know for humanities or maybe even economics, sometimes they say, like 3 to 6, maybe right around 5 is that sweet spot. So let me put up on the screen how old this study is. Published way back in February 2001. It is over 20 years old. Not only that, with a title like "Always Leave Home Without It, a further investigation of the credit card effect on willingness to pay," you can come to the realization that this article isn't even available to read online. Rather, it is linked to a website where you have to pay something like $40 to buy the PDF. And listen, I get it. This data was good. It's a classic study. But I don't think it's very relevant to be citing right now. Now let's look at the bigger picture. I think what this argument really comes down to is psychology. How people are conditioned to spend their money. And the idea, at least the argument in this Instagram post, is that when you have cold hard cash in your hand, there's a little bit of that separation anxiety. It feels more real when you're counting out the money to spend it. However, I want you to ask yourself if you fall into the category that absolutely agrees with that statement, or are you really kind of understanding that that is no longer valid? For example, within the past 5 years, think of the creation of such things like peer-to-peer money apps like the Cash App or Venmo. We now have things like the Apple Wallet where you can pay with your phone or your watch. And to my entrepreneurs out there, you know that PayPal is an accepted form of payment internationally, not just within our own country. Now, if you're somebody who's disagreeing, let me just show you the research, because again, the research doesn't lie. In the article cited by Forbes, The Way We Spend Impacts How We Spend, you can see that the research conducted took place back in July of 2012. Again, nearly 10 years ago. Now, I dare you to go find a finance YouTuber from 2012. I can think of about 2 or 3, and many of them aren't around anymore. Now, that's not to say that everyone today is smarter than everyone before, but I just want you to consider the sources available 10 years ago. Maybe you used to listen to a radio show like Dave Ramsey, or maybe you watched a TV show like Mad Money with Jim Cramer. These folks have been on the air for decades, and not much has changed in the delivery or the message that they are spewing to all of us. Now, I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit here. So again, let me know down in the comments what you think. I can take it, or I appreciate the support. But teaching people that mutual funds are going to be better investment products than, let's say, something like a simple index fund is just plain not true. Simply put, the costs associated with mutual funds, the fees, the loads, if any, are going to normally outweigh what you could get in a simple index fund. Now, of course, I was referring to some of the sage advice from a guy like Dave Ramsey. But along the same lines, if you watch Jim Cramer on TV every single night, just telling you recently for the past few years how stocks have never been better. Meanwhile, millions of Americans are out of work. Things have been shut down with the pandemic. You know, things just aren't adding up. And I would be very careful to take individual stock picking advice from somebody who has to produce a daily TV show. Now, the Instagram post goes on to end with, for the record, I do use credit cards. I like them for the security, but I just try to be hyper aware of how I'm spending my money. And Jeremy, thank you for saying that. Jeremy and I have not met face to face. We've been in the same room, attended some of the same conferences. But I gotta say that I was just triggered by this Instagram post, because I want to preach the tenets of personal finance. And it is a literacy that sadly has not been taught in schools. My website, Teaching Millionaires, is dedicated to teaching the money lessons you haven't learned in schools. Index funds are one of them. Specifically, ETFs are also part of that. But as we begin to unravel all of these terms and understand the bigger picture, using credit card points and rewards to your advantage and paying those balances off in full and on time is a great way to give yourself anywhere from a 1 to 5 to 10% discount on all your purchases. Likewise, there are components that I am not going to dive into today, topics such as taxes, entrepreneurship, real estate, and knowing how to leverage credit to build your business, buy buildings, or secure tenants is something that needs to be taught. And I don't think that it can happen in one conversation or one video like this. So I just wanted to invite you to subscribe to this channel and continue this dialogue in this free-form kind of way. All right, let's get to a couple of key takeaways. I love all the financial literacy, influencers, and content that has exploded the past couple of years. We have people who are in debt teaching others how to climb out of it by telling their own personal stories. Likewise, we have multi-millionaires on Instagram and YouTube teaching people how to live below their means and invest early and often. I think we need more of these conversations, even when we respectfully disagree. And for those of you out there that love personal finance, please treat it like a buffet. If you don't like something from one channel, go to a different channel and find something else, because all of these topics, index fund investing, credit card use, even cryptocurrency. It needs to be discussed, not just with us adults, but with the teenagers and even with the kids and students. So with that being said, please drop a like down below. Again, if you haven't already, you can follow me on Instagram at richsmithedu. And if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that notification bell. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.